Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about Legends of Runeterra. I still think it's a really good game, but I think they are going the wrong direction in what they are doing with the game. They just recently released the new set into the game. Yesterday it was, or the day before, and I already crafted a lot of cards because I had a lot of wild cards. My set of foundations and rising tides is complete in the last 2 weeks, so I gained a lot of wild cards, so I could craft already a lot. And the the new champions they made are really powerful. So they made 7 new ones, and this one, Leona, for 4 mana, is definitely one of the strongest ones because it combines really good with the existing Yashuo deck that was already there and was way up there in the higher tiers of the meta. And now with Leona, yeah, this card is just too strong now for the meta. I think Yashuo decks with Leona are going to make the game more unfun than it's going to be before than it was before. The game was fun because you had 5 6 decks that were really powerful, and the smaller decks could win against 2 or 3 of them. So everything was in balance. You had 5 6 powerful decks, but all the smaller decks could win against 2 or 3 of those 5 6 powerful decks. Now, with this card being there, you're going to have 1 or 2, I think 2 or 3, maybe maximum 3 really powerful decks left, and you're only going to win occasionally with the smaller decks against those 3 top decks. And Leona, Yashuo, Swain, Leviathan, and Vladimir decks, and then you have the control decks, in which I still think that Heimerdinger is one of the better cards to play, but Karma is of course a stupid card. Karma and Heimerdinger, I think when you combine those two decks, those 2 cards, you get so much card advantage and stuff that you can hardly win against those decks as well. So yeah, you will have fun decks still, and you will face those decks off also, but the last 4 or 5 weeks I was only facing in the play queue decks that are doing really good in the mythic rank. And yeah, you're going to see Leona, Yasuo, and the other top meta decks appear in uh, in the play queue for sure. So I think 1 in the 3 games will be against reasonable opponents, and all the rest will be against top tier decks. And the chances of winning with mediocre build decks like I have is yeah, it's going to be frustrating for a lot of people. And then they are going to try to build the same meta decks as well as the top tier decks, and they are going to try to win with those, but yeah, then you only win half of the time, and you always play the same mirror matches and you get tired of it. and I really think they should reduce the power level of the cards because they are making the game too powerful. So that's just my take on it. But I think when they are going to continue like this with making too powerful cards and support cards that support stun and recall decks too good, then they are going to ruin the game. So, okay, when you are playtesting and you have a nice deck, you can make a nice deck and you play with that nice deck against another deck and it works. But then you have the top 2-3 decks in the format. People are always going to try to play those decks because they know they are the best. And then other people that still like me, they still like to play the funner decks. They're always going to face off against those and they are going to say, okay, fuck this shit, I'm going to stop playing this game. And yesterday I faced 7 times out of 8, I faced Leona Yashuo against my burn deck, against my ephemeral deck, and with those two decks I can't win against this one. Also with my I changed to my Teemo deck. I can't win with those decks with all smaller creatures. I can't win against stun recall decks because they are always doing 2 damage to my creatures. With Yashuo, they play the 5 mana spell, they stun my complete board, so I have a complete bench. They only have 2 creatures out, of one which is Yashuo. They play on turn 4, they play the stun all units with 4 or less power, and Yashuo says, okay, I deal now 2 to all your board, your complete board, and they were all 1 and 2 toughness creatures, so you are left with nothing, and from now on you are just going to suffer. Everything that you are going to play, I'm going to stun or recall, because when they play Leona on turn 6, you only have 1 creature out or 2 creatures out, so one of them is again stunned, they recall the other one, you're always fucked. And that's not the intention of the makers of the game, I think. So I think they are testing in a way where everybody is playing different decks against each other, and okay, then you only face off against the Leona Yashuo deck 1 in 10 times, but in reality people know that deck is one of the strongest ones, so I'm going to play that one. Magic has the same problem. You only have 3-4 strong decks, and one of those is the strongest one, so 35% of the people are going to play that deck. Then 20-25% of the people are going to say, okay, that one is the strongest one, but this one counters it, so I'm going to play that one against that one. And it's also strong against the rest of the field, so you already have 70% of the meta, 60-70% of the meta defined just by one deck. And that is what Leona Yashuo is going to do. That deck is so strong, you will have a deck that counters it with control, and you will have a deck that counters it with a lot of things that are just in, yeah, just huge. They are strong, they get bigger every time, but the thing is the damage stays on your bigger things. So that's what is better in magic. Every time at the end of your turn all your creatures heal. So Yasuo isn't that a big of a problem in magic, because at the end, okay, my 5/5, it was a 5/3, but he couldn't do anything else, so next turn it's a 5/5 again. Does he recall it again, or does he stun it again? It's a 5/3 again, no problem. The next turn it's a 5/5 again. But in this game, your 5/5 6/6 becomes a 6/4, the turn after is 6/2, and the turn after it's dead. So Yashuo has too many good support cards, and they made some of them a bit more expensive, but it's still not good enough. I think they are ruining the game, and now they put Leona into the game as well. It's one of the cheaper stun cards, which is incredibly strong. So I don't know what they were thinking and stuff, but yeah, misfortune as well. When you look at misfortune, why can she stay at the back? You can keep misfortune at the back. You can keep you can keep Vladimir at the back. Oh no, you need to attack with that one. So when you attack, it's okay, but misfortune. When allies attack, do it. Why doesn't she have to attack? I don't understand that. Ezreal, it's an okay card because she needs to strike the Nexus. But misfortune, when she doesn't do it, she doesn't have to do a thing. She's just on the bench and she does all the things that she does. Just the same with Yasuo. When you stun or recall an enemy, I deal 2 to it. He doesn't even need to attack to deal the 2. And as the damage stays, it's just so strong. Heimerdinger, when you cast a spell, you get a card that costs 0. So that card is still so broken. And people are going to rediscover Heimerdinger for sure. It's going to rise to the top again, because you need Heimerdinger to counter together with Karma, to counter Yasuo and Leona decks. But they die easily as well. It's a 1/3 and they do 2 to it. So man, it's, yeah, they did too much. Here also Karma, it's at the round end, so Karma doesn't need to do anything except for being stuck in on the battlefield, on the bench, and every time at the end of your turn and of your opponent's turn, you get a spell from your region. Yeah, it's stupid. I think a lot of people are going to feel that some cards are way too powerful because you, yeah, and it all comes down to Yasuo being way too powerful because always doing 2 damage to everything of your opponent that you recall or bench, and the damage stays on it. It's just too much. So yeah, I think they made a huge mistake by making Leona now as well. It is just the yeah, it is just too good. 5 toughness as well, and then when it levels up, it has 6, and it's always recurring. You don't need to attack when you yeah, when you play it out. It has daybreak and stun the strongest enemy, and then when you activate another daybreak, this one does it again. It's no, it's too much. It's too much. I think they ruined the game by making champions that do stuff while they are on the bench. They should be more careful about that, and they try to balance Heimerdinger, and a lot of people said, okay, Heimerdinger, it's done, just because Yashuo is really strong as well, and Heimerdinger gets wrecked by Yashuo, but Vladimir, Swain, yeah, Leviathan. When you combine all those cards, it's just so crazy. At least for other decks, you need to have certain combination of cards, and being a 40 cards deck game, the chances of it happening are a bit bigger than in Magic, and that's okay, but the chances of things happening the right way for stun recall decks are just way too big. So yeah, I'm still going to play the game, but when it's going to continue like this and I'm only going to face off against Yasuo decks and decks that use misfortune that can stay on the back, then I'm going to stop playing this game, because cards that don't need to do anything else but just being there on the bench and being utterly broken, that's not the game that I want to play. So yeah, I hope that they address the thing, the fact that cards that stay on the bench and do a lot of stuff, that's yeah, that's just not right. You have enchantments in Magic, but you have a lot of cards that can remove them as well. Here in this case, you have to incorporate 8, 9 cards in your 40 card deck to be certain that you draw them, to be able to address the cards that they have, and then they can still recall their own unit. So you play a destroy spell, they recall their own unit, and they can replay it, and your spell is gone. And yes, that's why you need at least 7 up to 9 cards that can deal with those cards. So yeah, having to play 25% of your deck against only 6 cards of their deck, that's just plain stupid. So yeah, I doubt that when a lot of people are going to see the same trend that I'm already predicting now, that Legends of Runeterra is going to be able to survive. Also, another thing is, I'm a free-to-play player, and I already have a lot of cards of the new set. I didn't invest a penny into the game. There are a lot of people that do it, but they are. I don't think they buy the the play boards and stuff, but in the end it's only the cards that matter. So they have all when they bought already the cards in the beginning of the game, they have a lot of wild cards they will have. I think they already have the complete set that came out now, so they can start saving wild cards again. So for a free to play player like me, it's a really good game because I can build up my collection quite fast, and I need to keep playing the game to keep getting the cards. And the next time that the set comes out, I will have more or less the same amount of wild cards, so I need to keep playing. But I think the players that invested a lot, they will have the opportunity to again save a lot of wild cards the next expansion. They can get almost a complete set again, and when they have the cards they want and they play for another 2-3 weeks, they will have a complete set again and a lot of wild cards again until the new set releases. So the need for investing money into it is way lower than in Magic, and I said it in Magic before on other videos that I posted in the beginning of my YouTube career. In Magic, I like people that invest money into it because they invest money which gives the developers the money to keep paying for the servers, to maintain the game, to make new expansions, and that's all really good for me because I can play the game for free. But when I see it, the generosity of Legends of Runeterra, I think they are too generous. And I'm speaking against my own thing because as a free to play player I really like it, but people aren't going to be triggered anymore to put money into the game. And when people that are willing to put money into the game are not inclined to anymore, yeah, the developers won't receive money anymore, and they they will have to shut down the servers for the game, and then it's also a pity. So yeah, I'm a bit negative maybe, but I think I think it's really bad for the game that they have two powerful cards in the game, and I think Yashuo will need to be downgraded a lot, and yeah, I don't know how they can do it. They can say, okay, I only deal one, but still in this game the damage stays always on the creatures, so one, it slows down the deck, but still it's way too powerful. Katarina, you stun her 2 times, she's dead. Lulu, you stun her or recall her, she's dead. Misfortune, only 3. Zed, only 2. It wrecks so many creatures. Only the ones with regenerate are actually the decks where you can say, okay, when I play regenerate, I can withstand the stun recall decks a bit. And the brown decks were rising a bit, so I think a brown deck will be the third deck with regeneration and where is the other one with the regeneration? The here the Garen. So that one has regeneration as well. I think, yeah, I hope that I'm too pessimistic, but I think Yashuo needs to be addressed because it's way too powerful. And as I said, deal 2, reduce it to 1, it still stays the same. Increase the casting cost from 4 to 6 or 7, it still stays the same. It's a way too powerful card, Yasuo. The same with Misfortune. Cards that don't need to do anything on the bench, don't need to attack, only need to be there on the bench. Those cards are too powerful. And they need to do something about that. So, and also their generosity is going to, yeah, in the end, it all comes down to getting the money to maintain the game. And when they are being so generous, yesterday I saw all the streamers already with all the cards. That's too soon. That's impossible. Even yeah, when you see Crokies and all the other players, they invest $200 into the game to in the beginning of a new set, maybe even $300. They open a bunch of packs and they don't have a complete playset yet. They have to sacrifice their wildcards, and then they can build up their wildcards again. But they still need to invest a lot of money into the game, into Magic, to get to the point where they have the new rares and mythic rares of the new set. Here in this game, yeah, I'm a free to play player and I already have, I have it here, I already have 120 cards of the 276 new cards. 67 is 267 are new, and I already have 160 of them. So 107 cards to go, and I already have a complete playset of all the cards that are new. And yeah, I think it's way too fast, even for a free to play player. I think yeah, I think the urge for putting money into it still needs to be maintained, and I think they overshot it. So that's also one point. Too powerful cards and too generous. And that's it. So thank you for watching and see you on the next video on my YouTube channel. Bye.